Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating survival story from thousands of years ago, and we're going to discover how this ancient text actually offers a profound lifeline for the emotional struggles we face today. We're taking a journey from a literal ancient wilderness of sand straight into the modern isolation that so many of us experience right now.
So I want you to just stop and think about this for a second. Have you ever felt completely invisible in a crowded room? Like you're totally surrounded by people, but somehow you just feel profoundly alone. Maybe you felt rejected, abandoned, or just forgotten. It is hands down one of the most painful human experiences, and it is happening all around us. People are walking around every single day, hiding the silent pain behind these curated public smiles, experiencing deep rejection, despite living in what we call a hyper-connected society. And this really brings us to the great paradox of the 21st century. On one side, we've got all this digital connection, right? Social media, the illusion of perfect lifestyles, constant updates. But on the flip side, the reality for millions of people is just deep emotional isolation. It's the silent tears at night, the deep loneliness, the feeling of being completely unseen. Our screens are constantly connected, but our hearts remain desperately isolated.
All right, Section 1, Hagar's painful beginning.
To really figure out how to navigate this modern isolation, our source text introduces us to a woman named Hagar. Now, she wasn't royalty, no way. She wasn't powerful or celebrated. She was an ancient servant, a foreigner, and ultimately an outcast, who perfectly represents that feeling of being completely unseen and unvalued by society. To understand how she ended up in the wilderness, we have to look at the rapid, wild escalation of events in Genesis chapter 16. Abraham and Sarah had a divine promise for a son, but years passed with no heir. So out of fear and impatience, they made a human attempt to force God's timing. Sarah gives her servant Hagar to Abraham. Within months, things shift. Within weeks, Hagar becomes pregnant, and tension just floods the household. Within days, Sarah's bitterness turns into harsh mistreatment. And within hours, the environment becomes so incredibly toxic that Hagar flees into the unforgiving desert.
Let's just slow down and really look at her devastating condition here. She's pregnant, she's rejected, and she is totally alone wandering in an actual desert. She is now homeless. But honestly, perhaps the heaviest burden is that she's carrying this immense pain from the very people who were supposed to protect her. She's wandering through the desert with absolutely no clear future, representing pretty much the ultimate picture of human vulnerability and isolation. Which brings us to Section 2, Encountering the God Who Sees. So this physical wilderness, literally a place of death, a stripping away of comfort, and utter isolation, it suddenly transforms into a place of massive divine revelation. And the wording in the source text here is so specific. It says, "The angel of the Lord found Hagar." Notice what is absolutely not there. Hagar wasn't out searching for God. God deliberately searched for Hagar right in the middle of her brokenness. Before she cried out publicly, before anyone else noticed her suffering, God went out into the lonely places specifically to find her. And in response, she actually gives God a name. In Hebrew, she calls him El Roi, which literally translates to the God who sees me. Just think about how wild that is for a second. A rejected, outsider servant woman, totally discarded by society, becomes one of the very first people in all of Scripture to give God a deeply personal name. Because she realized something that changes the whole game. Heaven sees your hidden pain. The source material emphasizes that long before anyone publicly noticed Hagar's suffering, heaven had already seen the whole thing. It proves that the people the world overlooks, the people society just ignores, are absolutely never invisible to God. Let's jump to Section 3, today's modern emotional wilderness. Because look, the text shows us that a wilderness, it's not just sand and blistering heat. It represents those seasons of deep, deep uncertainty. Today, well, that 21st century wilderness looks like anxiety and depression. It's that emotional burnout from just trying to keep up. It's the crushing weight of financial pressure, the silent grief of broken families, and severe mental exhaustion. Just like Hagar's physical desert, millions of people silently battle this emotional wilderness every single day, all while hiding behind carefully curated public smiles. And there's just this massive contrast between our modern world and the message of this ancient text. I mean, culture today is constantly pressuring you to prove your worth, right? It celebrates popularity, influence, success. It basically tells you that you only matter if people notice you. But God's character is presented as the exact opposite. He draws near to the brokenhearted, the unseen, and the exhausted.
He values people completely differently than modern society does, specializing in finding people in those lonely places. Moving on to Section 4, Returning with New Strength. So Hagar's story shows us that encountering God in the wilderness, well, it doesn't just instantly magically fix your circumstances. I mean, she still had to go back. But instead, it gives you this completely new perspective of being seen, which allows you to return with a newfound endurance. It's a journey that starts with encountering God in your brokenness, realizing that heaven acknowledges your pain, and drawing on that to keep going. These painful seasons, the text suggests, actually become the very places of spiritual awakening that heal us, reshape us, and fortify us. But hey, the story doesn't actually end there. Years later, Hagar faced a second painful wilderness. That's right, 2 of them. She and her son Ishmael were sent away again, and this time the stakes were even higher. Their water ran out in the blistering heat of the desert, and she actually placed her son under a bush, fully believing he was going to die, just weeping in total despair. But once again, God intervened. He heard the boy crying, and he opened Hagar's eyes so she could see a well of water nearby. And this is just such a profound insight from the text. The provision already existed, she just couldn't see it yet. Fear and sheer exhaustion had totally blinded her. It's a powerful reminder that our fear often blinds us to the ongoing provision that is already sitting right next to us, even in our darkest moments. Which brings us to a really crucial question for you today. Are you carrying invisible pain right now? Are you walking through a season of hidden exhaustion? Maybe financial fear, or just this intense feeling of isolation? Because Hagar's story, it isn't just history, it's a mirror for anyone who feels forgotten by the world. The text leaves us with this absolute, rock-solid truth. You are not invisible. El Roy sees you. The exact same God who sought out a rejected servant in an ancient desert is presented as the one who sees your hidden struggles today. So, the next time you find yourself wandering in a wilderness of your own, will you open your eyes to see the provision that is already sitting right beside you?